Stephen is in the Bible, which I found out, once I was auditioning for the role. I'd never heard about this. So I obviously had to do a great deal of research in order to find out who this person was and why people wrote about him and what he kind of believed in. He very quickly has a calling, and he gets this itchy feeling, an external pull that brings him into these situations.
I love the itchy pants scene, that was my favourite.
Yeah, and he can't help but follow these people, his feelings, his beliefs, which is really fun to play as an actor. Stephen is innocent. He grows a lot within the season. He finds his voice and he learns massive lessons in each episode as well. So yeah, having to go through a spiritual journey with the characters, to explore ideas of belief within this character, really, really interesting to me.
Esther, wow, I was first told she was the beating heart of the first season. One of the reasons I took this part is because of her function. She comes in dribs and drabs throughout, but is very much responding to the consequences as we see you living them.
Yeah.
Often these stories don't really involve women, and there are lots of strong women in Testament, which is lovely. And that was important to me, really, that she is that mother figure, and that I find that fascinating, that she actually does follow what you're doing, even though they don't really speak about it. You know, she's very much against it. I hadn't played anyone so utterly heartbreaking in the character arc, and I thought, well, that's going to be interesting. Stephen.
Obed. He was the father of Jesse, and the father of David.
I was told when I accepted the role, because obviously
really?
they must have thought that it
Yeah,
would
so
put me off.
you did find out first.
They had to wait till I was snared before they went, oh, by the way, and it's Charlie Beaven. No, I was absolutely delighted. I was actually worried, though, because I thought, oh, no, I taught you at drama school, just to make that clear. In one module, wasn't it? It was Shakespeare.
Yep.
And I just thought, oh, the last thing you're going to want as a student is to then come out and find out your mother is being played by one of your tutors. But no, you didn't react like that at all.
No, not
unless
at all.
You did it well, because you are quite well, because I taught you to be a good actor.
No, not at all. You get sent a list of everyone's names on your first day, and I saw Lizzie Hopley, and I was like, there's only one Lizzie Hopley. That was my thought. And I was just sat by the door waiting, and then you didn't show up. Could you imagine if it wasn't you? That would have. But it was.
Oh, because I didn't know that was...
No, yeah. So that's the first time. Yeah.
Oh.
And I was hoping that it was her.
A couple of things struck me working with you, and this is really truthful, is that you're such an intelligent actor. You put so much work into it and really think things out. But there's also that emotional truth. And you can't have someone who's pretending, and I suppose it doesn't matter what age you are, what age the character is. If you're bringing that to it, you'll find something. So it's kind of irrelevant what you were playing in that Shakespeare thing, really. But that's what I'd remembered about you. You couldn't play Stephen with that amount of intelligence and truth. It's it is a difficult role, and no wonder they were so thrilled to find you, because I don't think there are many actors who kind of pulled it off. You need to have the ability to just find truth, and it's unquestioning from an audience to see you and think any different. The hardest of our scenes for me was throwing you out of the house.
Get it.
What?
I said leave.
But, Mum...
No, if you're going to believe these ridiculous lies, you're not welcome here. How dare you?
It was almost as if in that scene Esther speaks with a different voice, like from the past and from her culture, and there must be so much of that in the world.
Yeah.
The older generations seeing the younger ones making mistakes, but when so much is riding on it, and you think, yes, young people think they know everything, and they're so necessary, and Stephen becomes so necessary, and Esther realises that, but when she's terrified that he's going to throw away all those years and generations of
the preservation.
of suffering and the preservation of something that's so precious. But of course it has to be renewed for it to carry on. But those bits, chucking him out the house was fun.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It's not fun. Not fun to be chucked out. I think Esther's a very, very good mother to Stephen. I think he needs to break away and be a bit more independent, but you might think otherwise.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope that people will watch our bits and see a mother and a son, talk about quite difficult things, and that's universal to so many mothers and sons. I think maybe with the religious aspect, I kind of had to ask myself, why do people pray? And that is the whole thing. It gives people reasons and answers to questions that nobody can. And I think for a lot of people, it gives people reassurance and safety and hope and community, which I think is so vital for so many people. And Stephen finds that in the show. What would I fight for? What would I live for? Because Stephen definitely, he prepares to lose everything to this very, very quickly, and he doesn't quite understand it, which is quite a big choice to make. It's made me question, what would Charlie fight for? But I found an answer that I think is quite strong.
I think for me there were two main things. From Esther's point of view, putting your faith and trust into symbols of the community that then let you down, they can get it wrong. I think that's important, and Esther goes through that. She put her whole faith into these characters and then realises there's something much bigger and much more important. I think that's huge. For me, identifying with Esther and other people being able to identify with her is that the moments where she realises true value of who Jesus was and what that whole thing was, and that James gives her things to read in Isaiah, and it's about the sacrifice. And I think it's that, the difference, a step up from, we all know what Jesus was about. No, it's actually, it's that step of sacrifice and knowingly going into sacrifice that you have to face, that she realises suddenly. There's a scene with James in a cafe, which is just a small scene, just a couple of lines. And she says, what did your mother say when you said you'd met the Messiah? He says she ran to him and said, can my sons be on one side of the Father? And obviously mothers speaking, isn't it? Can they be really important when they die? Can they have a really good seat in heaven? It's like, that always made me laugh. And then James says, Jesus said, are you prepared for what that means? And that's, oh my goodness, for a mother to kind of go, oh my gosh, that's what my child is facing. That's that you have to put yourself out there. They've given themselves willingly, knowingly, as a sacrifice, and gone through what he's gone through. You can't just get away with it. You actually have to take a risk. That commitment is a step that must scare people. I think that's very interesting. That was the key thing for me.
It makes the
Esther.
stakes.
Yes, it makes the stakes massively
incredibly high.
That is an important moment, I think, for Esther.
Yeah. Aren't answers in death, but reasons to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.